15-yard line.
Well, you know, that's that whole thing. You know, that time of possession, that ball control, that, you know, length of field. Anytime you can kick the ball in the end zone, you're giving the offense an 80-yard field. And they don't score a lot of touchdowns when they have to go 80 yards.
Gilbert. Nice pass. Don Beebe and then Tim Houck came in. Beebe still had not been down, so it was a legal contact, but it was legal contact, that is. Under 6 minutes to go. 21-21 game at the half. 28-24 now for the 80-yard touchdown drive.
You know what I like about Don Beebe? Every time he gets knocked down, he just jumps right up. Like a fighter, you know, he just knows that when you go down, you better get right up. Don't let them think they hurt you.
That's Amir Rasul, 7th-round draft pick, number 24. Had a touchdown last week, his first carry of the day.
You know, there's a lot to that. When you're a guy like Beebe and you only weigh 180 pounds, you know, the thing that they're going to think is this guy isn't very big. Yeah, I mean, you look, see, he either needs a little bigger jersey or a little more arm. You know, when you run out there and that jersey flaps like that, those defensive backs are going to go after you because they don't think you have a lot of rocks in your pocket.
Bring that one back and start it over. Should be against Buffalo. Remember when Beebe was drafted, he and Jeff Query came into the league at the same time. And a lot was made out of, here's a 3rd-round draft choice from Chadron State. And then you've got on the other side for the Packers, Jeff Query, number 85, a 5th-round draft choice from Milliken. Not exactly football factories.
I know. You know, as you look at that Buffalo roster, that Buffalo Bill roster, they have a lot of players like that from schools that aren't schools that you really normally think of as producing football players.
Dale Gilbert from California. And that's dropped. What do you think about Big Ten, SEC, Pac-10, Southwest Conference? Look at some of these schools. Kutztown State, William and Mary. I mean, these are quality football players as well.
Yeah, Big Howard Ballard, the 348 pounds out of Alabama A&M.
Benedictine. Chadron State. We're still working, John, at Texas Lutheran College to get our first guy into the NFL. It's going to be tough now because we dropped football, but we're working at it.
Maybe you ought to get a basketball player. Remember the Cowboys used to always draft a basketball player.
That's an idea. Deep, tip, incomplete. And it was intended for Don Beebe. Joe Fuller, number 21. Good coverage.
Hey, Beebe was covered all the way on this. Someplace, if you're going to run it up, you got to make that corner believe that you're going to run a hook. You're not just going to run by him. You see, and Beebe never did get a step on Fuller all the way. At some point, you got to get a step on him, and he never did. I mean, Fuller always had Beebe in front of him, or he was parallel with him. Beebe never got a step on him. He never got a step beyond him.
3rd and 15, Buffalo trails by 4. Jim Kelly, sideline, sprayed ankle. Bad snap. Man in at center now is the guy who used to paint his face, Mitch Perrott, number 59. And he snapped it away from Gail Gilbert, a loss of 21 yards.
And Sean Patterson of the Packers was right on him. And Gilbert, I think, was looking to throw it, but he would have had to force something, and Patterson just didn't let him throw it.
Chris Moore, 9 yards into the end zone.
If you are going to get this guy, you better tackle him. And if you're going to tackle him, you better wrap your arms around him. You can't tackle him like that. He's too strong. He's too powerful in the leg. And in his career in the NFL, he has broken way too many tackles to have any belief that you're ever going to tackle him without wrapping your arms.
That is a 20-yard return for Sikahema on the punt return. He had a kickoff return of 89 in the first half. Derek Douglas. And the Pack will work on the clock now. There's a gain of 6. These two teams, by the way, will meet in regular season. On November 10th, they will meet in Milwaukee. Home game for the Packers.
Yeah, and then next week, we're going to do the game between Buffalo and the Bears, the Bills and the Bears at Chicago, and they meet again during the regular season, but they meet earlier. I think they meet the 4th or 5th game.
End of September in Buffalo, that's right.
One thing is when you think they're going to throw play passes, they run, and because they don't do things, I think they maybe use the preseason game to set up some things they want to do in the season.
This is Anthony Dillwig in the quarterback. So Lindy Infante is using all 4. Dillwig started the game last week. Anthony Dillwig, the 3rd-round draft choice from 2 years ago. You and I did the game that opened the season last year when he had a monster game against the Rams.
Yeah, he was really playing well then. Of course, Don Mikowski had held out training camp, and Dillwig was their quarterback. The year before that, in preseason, he looked great. Last week he started. This week is going to mop up, because when you play 4 quarterbacks, usually the guy you put in 4th is in a mop-up position. You're usually behind and you're just running out the thing, or in this case, you're ahead. And Dillwig would like to throw the ball and play quarterback, but with the score and the time and the situation, he really doesn't have to.
We've got 2:50 remaining, and don't forget the 3rd round of the International from Castle Rock, Colorado coming up next. Stableford scoring system, and they're all fighting for spots in the final round tomorrow. The scores are cumulative over the first 3 days, but then tomorrow the survivors begin from scratch.
Is that the Stableford, or is it the modified Stableford?
It's the modified. I knew you'd...
I never got the Stableford. Now they're using the modified before I got the regular.
First down and 10. Douglas. Bentley on top for the tackle at the 15-yard line. Well, this quarterback circumstance fighting for the number 2 and 3 spots for the Packers is kind of interesting, because I think all 4 obviously can play in the league.
Well,
will they shop one of them?
Well, I think they've done that. They have been shopping them, and they don't have any takers. So I think that they're probably not going to be able to make a trade unless it's a low-round draft choice. I think that they're probably going to have to get to a situation, if everyone stays healthy, and probably just waive one at the end of the season that may or may not be claimed.
Time has been called by Buffalo with 2:42. They have 1 left. Crowd was 50,000 or so today. Just over 50,000, as a matter of fact, is the official crowd. And
that's good, because they were talking about taking the game away from Randall Stadium here, Camp Randall Stadium, because they weren't drawing enough people, and they said they had to have 50,000 people to keep it here.
Stadium holds 77. There's a loss on that play. And now Buffalo will kill the clock for the final time. Tackle is made by David Bavaro. Well, Tom White is our referee today. Sounds a little bit like Jerry Seaman, who's replaced Art McNally. Jerry's going back to New York as the director of officials, and one of the things that Jerry Seaman has done is put in a bunch of physical tests for the officials. He's making them run 40-yard dashes.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to, and he's given them all weights, and they have to, come in at a certain weight. I'd like to see the time that some of these guys ran the 40 in. The one thing he ought to get rid of, though, is 3-digit numbers. I believe, there's something about a referee wearing 123. It's like the guy hasn't been here long. Yeah, I mean, you ought to have some 2-digit number. When you get into that triple digit, there's something about you that doesn't give you the same respect if you just have 2 numbers.
It's kind of hard to have a sense of self when you're in triple digits.
And it doesn't even fit across your back good. You mean, you need a little more back for 3. I think they ought to put all officials in single and double-digit numbers.
Dillwig, incomplete. Stock, the intended receiver.
I think he had a safety blitz here. Watch the safety coming right up the middle unblocked. I think that's why Dilweg probably got rid of that ball before he wanted to.
That was Brian Taylor, whose dad, Roosevelt Taylor, played in the league, to Anthony Dilweg, whose grandfather, Lavi Dilweg, was one of the outstanding members of the Packers back in the 40s. And now Brad Dalawisu, the free agent from UCLA, will try and pad the lead. 37 yards, 36. Flag is down. We'll see if the play stands.
Hey, this is good here. He has a good plant, good kick. And I think they call that for roughing, running into the kicker. Now, the field goal will stay if that's what they're calling. The field goal will stay, and the penalty will be attached onto the kick. Now, there's two of them. There's a 5-yard penalty for running into it and a 15-yard for roughing, but I think that penalty may be against Green Bay. No, they're giving the 15 yards. They're giving against Buffalo 15 yards, which is a first down. The Packers are going to take the points off the board.
Are you an advocate of that?
Yeah, in this situation I am, because you got the lead. The Bills have used all their timeouts out, so you don't have to kick again. They can't block it. You got a 4-point lead. They have no timeout. I think you can just run the clock out down here in your own territory, which is very safe. And you make it a touchdown.
2:28 remaining. Derek Douglas. Golf will follow as soon as our ball game is completed. We've got 2:23 to go. The international from Castle Rock, Colorado, just south of Denver. We are on the campus of the University of Wisconsin. For the 6th year in a row, the Packers have played a preseason game here.
Those are the Ukers up there.
By the way, Bob's doing well after the surgery.
And our best to him. It was good to see him. He's back. He says he's feeling fine and ready to go again. Yeah, I think, just those pictures of Jim Kelly, I think the fact that he's standing up and not sitting down or lying down or has his ankle propped up, I think are all real positive things for the extent of his injury.
2nd and 6. Ball on the 6.
He's either a long way away or
he's a guy who's not going to miss anything anyway.
Douglas. And a quick word, too, on Paul McGuire, our colleague from NBC, who had a heart attack a week ago. He is doing much better and resting comfortably back in Buffalo, as a matter of fact. And continue to wish him well. Today's game was produced by Robert D. Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman, halftime produced by Mark Wolf. Senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer is Ted Shaker. 2-minute warning. Packers up by 4.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend